Hey there, everyone. A little bit late. Sorry about that. This is Watch Soup Sunday night. I'm Bobby Legs, your co-host, joined by my co-host, Clayton from the Watchdog Podcast. Clayton, how are you this evening? What is up? How was your weekend,
We were
etc.?
waiting on one ingredient, so the soup took a little while longer to prepare. That's all right though.
Yay.
I'm doing well. Yeah, busy weekend
Am
for
I?
me. Had
Am
a
I? Are you? Was that me? Yeah.
you're a little delayed, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Better?
All
Good.
right.
I'm a little technical
Can you hear me?
difficulties. I guess I'm going through now. I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I think
I
you're
can hear you.
maybe. Am
Go
I
ahead.
delayed? Okay, good. All right, we're good. Yeah, I busy weekend. I had a half marathon yesterday. And yeah, so I'm
How'd you
tired,
do?
but yeah. Well, I paced. So did the 150 group. Brought my people in. Right on time, pretty much. A little early.
Yeah.
Most of them took off ahead of me, which is always good. So yeah, it was good. It
Yeah.
was cold and windy. It was right in Newport, Rhode Island. So it was
Yeah.
right on the water and
Yeah.
pretty windy. But yeah, it was
Nice.
good. Yep, felt
Yeah.
felt good. Yeah, mostly today was just catch up. I'm kind of useless, even more useless than usual after a half marathon. It's
Sure.
not saying
Sure.
much, but yeah. So, but then yeah, today was just catching up on stuff. Did hot yoga today, so it's
Very nice. Oh
one of
yeah.
those.
Look at you.
Yeah, one of those weekends. Yeah,
Yeah. What do
taking
you have
care of
on wrist?
myself over here. You have
That's the
to
most
do
important. That's very,
that.
very important for sure.
Yeah.
Um, what do you
How
got on
about
wrist
you?
tonight? What do you got on wrist? Tell me. You tell me what you got on wrist tonight first. I want to
I
hear it.
got the Vogard F1 time zoner. Haven't worn this one
Wow.
in quite a while. It's a
Yeah.
long forgotten independent brand. The bezel moves and the our hands move with it, and it has a little dongle like
Oh.
the Panerai kind of.
Yeah.
And it's set to Hawaii time because I have a friend in Hawaii. So I
Yeah.
thought, so I don't message him at an inappropriate time. I figured I'd set it to
That's a good
uh,
idea.
Hawaii time. But
Yeah.
yeah, they sold this mechanism to the IP to IWC, and that's what they put in their time zoner.
Wow.
So IWC bought it from them. So
That's an interesting tidbit. No, that's
yeah,
great. That's good to
yep,
know. That's awesome.
yep.
See, that to me, see that what you have there is collectible to me.
Yeah, that's why I really
You know?
like it. It's
Yeah.
very horologically interesting. They still service these, but they after selling the IP to IWC, they are not allowed to make watches with this anymore. That was part of the deal. But
Makes
I
sense.
think the owner there made out pretty well in that deal. So
Yeah, I would think so for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, man, I had a busy weekend and it started very early on Saturday and it just ended like 5 minutes ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like we ended up like why the reason why I was late, nothing serious, was we um Mrs. Legs was working until like 4 today and I had the kids all day and then we had to go to pick up we got a trailer, like a little trailer to tow on the car for the kayaks and whatnot. But um we got found a good deal on Facebook Marketplace, but we had to like drive like an hour, right?
Oh,
To go get it. And then like we were kind of like unsure about doing that trip mostly highway because it's mostly highway. And we're like, we don't know. You know, my wife was a little bit nervous because when we go do anything in the car, she drives. She gets motion sickness if she's
uh,
not driving, so I can't drive ever, right? So and then she's a little bit of a nervous Nelly, so she didn't want to. We had to do all side roads, and that took like a half hour longer than it did. And then we had to get the kids into bed, and then
right.
so um, yeah. Anyway, hey, look, I was wearing my Citizen GMT today, man.
Ah,
Series. I really like this watch, man. I can't wait to take it on my vacation, on my holiday this summer. As the Europeans say. Yeah, just looking forward to it, man. Anyway, let's do the roll call with the chat, and then we'll get right into the soup. Maison is here. How you doing, Maison? Cowboy Swami, good to see you. James is here. Steve Timehill, good to see you, Steve. Nate Dog, what is going on? How you doing? Bruno, what up? Yeah, 904. I got in a 907. I got in a look at Bruno with a 905. I bet you he does 906. Uh,
no, I had to step in and say, yeah, Bobby's tardy. No, I.
yeah.
It's,
Caliber, what's going on? Hey, James, good to see you. Peter's here. Ashley, K, 397. No soup for you. No, we have soup for you. Don't worry. Joey B is here. Hey Ben, good to see you. Ken Spear, always checking in from Pittsburgh. How you doing, Ken? Um, let's see. Anybody else give a shout out? Cabby Lake is here. Good to see you, Cabby. Okay. Hey, let's get going. Let me catch my breath a little bit. So I'm gonna have you lead off today,
Sure
Clayton.
thing.
And you got the time teller. How Hodinkie's 40 million gamble crumbled. Is this the end, Clayton? Tell us.
Little dramatic here from
Mm,
T3. He loves
yeah.
to he likes to pick on Hodinkee a little bit. He starts, Jory, the time teller, was taught to never kick a man while he's down, but luckily Hodinkee isn't a man. So let
Yeah.
the kicking begin, right?
Yeah.
Obviously Hodinkee, I think, was important to many of us when we first got into the
Mm,
hobby. The articles, the talking watches episodes with
mhm,
so many legendary collectors, John Mayer among others. They're still doing some pretty cool talking watches. There was just one a few weeks ago that was really cool. For many of us, it was the gateway into the hobby. Jack Forster, James Stacy, all these people. It was about watches. Maybe not so much anymore. Jory references an Adweek article by Mark Stenberg, a reporter for them. It's titled "How Hodinkee's Big Bet on a Watch Business Backfired." They purchased Crown and Caliber in 2021, February of 2021. They were a big reseller. I think many of us have worked with them. I've never bought anything from them, but I've sold quite a few
mhm,
watches to them. I think most of them were before the Hodinkee merger takeover, but I think one or
mm,
two since then. But most of that was before. Um, they acquired Crown and Caliber February 2021 and have since cut 75% of Crown and Caliber staff, including all of their watchmakers and technicians. I was not aware of that. I was a little surprised to hear that. He gives then a little background. Hodinkee, popular watch media site. Crown and Caliber, a popular watch reseller. Just if you,
mm,
I don't think anyone in here is unaware of those two entities, but just in case, now you're caught up. Well, when Hodinkee purchased them, they raised $40 million for the merger. Now, Jory wasn't sure if it cost $40 million to acquire Crown and Caliber, or that was just part of the. I'm guessing it was more than $40 million to acquire them. They just got that in capital to help with that purchase.
mhm,
Um, February of 2021, what was going on? Pandemic. Watch prices, secondary watch prices were insane, right? They were
yeah.
skyrocketing. He gives an example. A Panda Daytona, which retails for 13,000 at that point in February 2021, was averaging $56,000 on the secondary market. If you
Mhm,
bought one for that price and you're trying to get rid of it now, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not good. I think they're about what, 28, 27, 28 now. So about
yeah.
$30,000 less. You're taking a hit. I hope you didn't buy one for that much. Hodinkee saw this, right? And they figured, let's get in on that action. They figured they could, make some money, get a piece of that action. So they bought Crown and Caliber, popular reseller. Back to the article. Neither were profitable, though. Crown and Caliber was paying top dollar for watches during those pandemic years. I sold my Rolex Explorer 214270 to Crown and Caliber when it was discontinued. And I guess that was what, April, Watches and Wonders time ish in 2021. They gave me over $10,000 for that watch.
Mm,
And I dinged it up. I banged it. I remember on our
mhm,
counter, there was a nice ding in it. I thought for sure once they got it, they're going to take several $100s off of their quote, but nope, they gave me I think like 10,700 or something like that. Now
mm.
those are
Wow.
what are those going for? Like 6,000, seven
Mm,
thousand. So man, like they were paying. I was shocked. I was like, how can they make any money? Like those, they just wanted to stock up on them. So yeah, so um, they're paying top dollar for those watches, and then 2022 saw the start of the decline in secondary pricing. They spent a lot of money on those inflated watch prices. There were other expenses for Hodinkee as well. The article lists that Hodinkee signed a 10-year lease for a brick and mortar store in Soho in NYC in 2019. That store hasn't opened yet. They're not doing anything with that space. So that's a lot of money going out there. Since 2023, Hodinkee has had 4 rounds of layoffs. The article estimates they had 150 employees in September of 22, and now it's estimated they only have between 30 and 75.
Mm,
So yeah, dark times. Crown and Caliber, similarly, they had 75 employees at the time of that merger, and now they only have 20. And again, no more watchmakers or technicians. I like Crown and Caliber's videos. I forget the name of the guys who were in those videos, but I always liked their content. When I first got into the
yeah.
hobby, I watched a lot of their stuff. Um, Jory says he's not doing a victory lap, that Hodinkee and Crown and Caliber are struggling. But it's interesting, that it's happening. And this was
Mm,
echoed by, his viewers, readers, people who left comments on Hodinkee articles and videos. I think a lot of us have talked about this in our private groups, how, Hodinkee isn't the same as it used to be, that we're a
mhm,
little fed up with it, right? Um, the article continues, audience trust. The article says that Hodinkee gambled that they could turn their readers into Crown and Caliber customers, but that didn't necessarily pay off. Um, After their merger, their website began featuring pre-owned watches that were obviously coming from Crown and
mhm.
Caliber. It made customers suspicious that they were, instead of recommending maybe the best products, they were instead just featuring watches they wanted to sell to make a profit. Traffic to their website and their videos and everything declined between 2022 and now. Uh, you know, Enthusiasts aren't the only ones who are noticing, and now you're getting, publications also like Adweek writing articles about how they are going downhill from what they used to be. They used to have integrity, I think. A
Mhm.
lot of us think maybe that's out the window now, and that comes with getting bigger and making money. I don't think they're the only watch
Yeah,
publication that's
no.
going through this. um I think the Worn and Wound, I think, is on a slippery slope right now. I'm not a huge fan of some of their most recent content, so I think they're
Yeah.
starting to go in that direction.
Yeah, and
It's just in
and
Revolution. Yep.
Revolution's already, made
Yeah.
that commitment a long
Oh
time
yeah,
ago
yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So they're certainly not the only
Yeah.
ones, but they're the biggest target. I think the
Mm.
biggest target on their back. They're
Yeah.
the most well-known ones. So he's also, Jory's not disparaging their right to sell watches. He has his own shop. He's a YouTube channel and he mentions it all the time, but he's just, he feels like he's staying a little more true to his horology roots. I don't know if that's true or
Mm.
not. I forgot he even had a shop because I never watched his channel. I was like, oh yeah, he sells watches. But it's obvious that people are kind of souring on Hodinkee.
Yeah.
I don't read their articles much
Yeah.
anymore, or
Yeah.
once in a while, a talking watches if it's somebody interesting. But what do you think about what's going on with Hodinkee and this video?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I remember I've never bought a watch from Caliber, but I've sold a watch or 2, and I sold the watch, I remember selling I had the when the Black Bay 58, the blue dial came out.
Mm,
I had both the original Black Bay 58 and the blue dial, and then like a couple months later, I was like, "What am I doing?" I mean, I like both the watches, but what
I
am
remember
I don't
that.
need I don't need 2 of them, right? And I got like more than I thought of, way more than I thought I was gonna get, and and I think I like even broke even because I had bought the bracelet too afterwards from Tudor. So whatever it was, like I was really happy, and I'm like, how and I was hearing other friends of mine at the time, that was the thing you would do, right? If you want to know what your watch was worth, you'd go to Crown and Caliber and get a quote, and
Right.
and
I
based
did
off
that all the time.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
it was just so easy to do,
Yep.
especially when you had like a mainstream I kind of like, some of the like a little more rare models. I mean, you'd have to wait like 24 hours or 48
Yeah.
hours before you get a quote.
Rolex
But
was
like,
instant. You'd
oh,
get it.
Rolex was instant.
Yep.
Rolex was instant,
Yep.
right? And I just like remember scratching my head. I'm like, how are they able to like give these like top dollar for all these, and then how they were going to make I just couldn't figure out what their business plan was here, because it didn't seem sustainable. And sure enough, I think we're seeing
It
what's
wasn't.
happening. And I saw the tide turning, right? Because um I had a Submariner, and every once in a while, and this is before I even like considered selling it, right? This is way before that. I would just like put it in there just to see what they would. And I remember seeing like 13, 14, 15,000 at first, and then after like 6 months, a year, like they weren't even offering cash.
Right.
They would give you trade value but they weren't even offering cash. I'm like, oh, they're not even
Hodinkee
giving me.
store credits too, you could get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yep,
they're not giving me cash for a watch that they could easily sell, right? That's interesting. Even if they didn't give me top dollar, they're not, it's still not even offering me
yep,
cash. It's not like I tell them what I want. They're just not even doing it. And so, like, oh man, there's something really, really, strange going on here. Yeah, and it seemed like, I mean, I don't think it's because of Hodinkee necessarily that things started going downhill. I think it was just the timing of the market, and then things were
yeah,
just changing, right? But it sure seemed like, that was the kiss of death, that merger, or that purchase. Anyway, with Hodinkee, I think, like, they have a huge target on their back, right? And when you have a huge target on your back, when you're top of the hill, people want to knock you down, and people
yes,
are looking forward to seeing you fall. But they did it to themselves, right? This was Hodinkee used to be like a collector's kind of like, online magazine, like real watch enthusiasts, right? And then they started to, like, become more of a marketing, online
yeah,
service, right? With brands, showcasing a lot of brands and trying to sell. Now, it doesn't surprise me that, after taking over, Crown and Caliber, that you see some people, like, getting laid off from Crown and Caliber. I mean, I know it sounds shocking when they say they got rid of, like, all their watchmakers and technicians, but Hodinkee had the watchmakers. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like,
they
they
didn't need 'em.
probably figured that that was enough to handle the volume. But then it probably snowballed even more because of, business wasn't good, and so they really had to cut deep. Um, yeah, I mean, like, all these online magazines are all the same. Revolution magazine to me is the most egregious one of them all. That don't really have necessarily the reader in their best interest. It's whatever the relationships with the brand and what they're trying to pawn off on. I mean, calling the guy from Baltic like the next biggest design genius.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
your buddy
Waco, that was the
Waco,
most
you love
ridiculous.
him.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous statement I've read in years, right? And not just in watches, just like like in all of the things I've read.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It is bad. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's next for Hodinkee. I mean, like, I think they'll still be around, right? They're still relevant in a sense. There's still a lot of people who are coming into the hobby, or who are casual watch fans, who will go there because, that's the big, the big the big kahuna in the space, and they'll eat up the content, right? I mean, my buddy, who even is not a huge, he's not an enthusiast like we are. He has a collection of watches. He has a nice collection of watches, but he's not like obsessed like we are. Like, anything like Hodinkee comes out with, like, he buys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, so you still have that kind of population out there. So we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with Crown and Caliber. We'll see whatever happens to that business. I don't know if they go under or not. They seem to be definitely, um, on their deathbed, or, on life support. And if Hodinkee just, like, swallow, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen to Crown and Caliber?
I think they are. I think Hodinkee is desperately trying to get out of the
Oh yeah,
pre-owned.
they're trying to sell them out. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Now they had their own section of pre-owned watches. I
Hmm.
assume they were just funneling Crown and Caliber watches through there, but they also had vintage. Every week I would get a list of the
Hmm.
new vintage watches in the Hodinkee store. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that was Crown and Caliber inventory, if that was something separate.
Well, that's an interesting thing you brought up. So there was, like, when you go to Crown Caliber, there's, like, certain brands that they had, right? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They used to carry Jura Pergo, for example, and a couple years ago they stopped carrying because they just couldn't sell anything. So, I remember going to Crown Caliber a couple, like, months ago, and there's, like, brands in there that they used to never
Okay.
carry. And then you see, like, I mean, it's actually coming from Hodinkee. So I think they were funneling each other. They were just, like, sharing the listings, right?
Right.
With a little bit of a markup on Hodinkee for some reason, right? Right. Then you see it kind of. But if you go now, like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I could. I could back that up if you go there now. But I know a couple months ago there were brands that like Norqueen or like stuff like
Yeah.
Crown Caliber would
Oh,
not
wow,
carry,
okay.
that kind of stuff that started showing up on their search in Crown Caliber.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the future looks great for them, for for resellers in general. It's just
Mhm.
rough time right now. It's a
Mhm.
great time to be a buyer, but
Yeah.
yeah, these guys are struggling. I think Hodinkee, they've lost all of the personalities outside of James Stacy. James Stacy leaves there, and then I think they've lost all credibility with
Mhm.
watch geeks. He's like the one lingering
Mhm.
uh piece of that original like core staff that's
Yeah.
well respected. He's got the Gray NATO podcast. I think
Yeah.
he brings a lot of people to Hodinkee that may otherwise not tune in. So they have the Hodinkee radio podcast. They always do like 4 or 5 episodes during Watches and Wonders week. Every day they'll cover like 3 or 4 brands that they saw.
Mhm.
Day one is
Yeah.
Rolex, Tudor, Patek. And gosh, it was really when James or Ben wasn't on the podcast, it was really hard to be interested because these people will admit they have not been into watches very long.
Mm.
They're more on the fashion side, I get the sense. And it was
Mhm.
just like this has
Mm.
very little appeal to me. Just what I'm listening to. They seem like fine people. They're very nice and they're very good at podcasting and broadcasting. But I don't know. It was just hard for me to identify as a 45-year-old. Maybe I'm not the target audience anymore. Maybe younger people who are just getting into watches can relate to these people. But I had a hard time. So when James and Ben were on, it was fine because they're
Yeah.
seasoned watch collectors and they know their stuff. Say what you will about Ben Clymer, but he knows
Yeah.
watches,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, I don't know. The future may not be too bright for either,
Mm.
really. I don't think Hodinkee will, like Jory says in the video, I don't think they're going out of business or anything,
Mm.
but
Mm.
I don't know. They may go in a whole different direction that and leave a lot of us behind.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible. James Duffy here is saying that these days I would go to Hodinkee if I'm Googling something and they show up in my search results. Ashley's hoping for a big, nice going out of business sale one of these
I
days.
don't
Yeah.
even I forgot about Crown and Caliber. I don't when I'm
I used to
searching
go
for
there.
watches, I don't go there at all.
I used to go every day. I would check,
Yeah.
like whenever the time I would check on watches, like they were in the rotation of checking
Yeah.
on a daily basis where something comes in, and they fell out of the rotation a while ago just because I don't know, they just fell out of rotation. Nothing seemed to be interesting.
The other watch I
Um,
sold them, was I had a Santos 100 that I bought from a local store here. No
yeah.
box, no papers. It was an older watch. They gave me what I paid for that and then some. I was shocked. That was
Wow.
right before the Hodinkee thing, so
Yeah.
you feel kinda bad,
Mhm.
like, I was like, "Oh god,
Yeah.
they're not gonna be able to." I that watch was on their website for so
Mhm.
long, it didn't
Mhm.
sell. Probably still there. I should go and look. That
Yeah.
was
I
a
mean,
few years ago.
I guess they were just trying to buy up all the inventory
Yep,
they could, and the problem is, I mean, I guess maybe you know um they felt like they could attract, like, and they attracted the Hodinkee, and I guess maybe they have bigger plans. They're no watchbox though, that's for sure.
right.
No watch or 1906 company, whatever.
1916, yeah.
1916 area. Joey B, at one point Crown Caliber was paying way more than anyone else. I think that hurt them most. I sold a few watches to
Yeah,
them for more than what I paid. Amazing.
a lot of
Amazing.
us did.
Yep. Yep.
All of
That
us
was
went there.
that was a good stretch of time, man,
Yeah,
for sure, that you can
yeah,
get out of any watch you wanted. And if it was a brand that they sold, you had a good shot of getting a good rate of
yeah.
return on that. Okay. All right. So let's move on. We're only doing 2 videos today, because it was just everything was swamped with watches and wonders, right? So that's the reason why it was
What'd you think
kind of
about
hard.
Watches and Wonders?
Yeah.
Anything really, strike your fancy? I know you talked about it the other night.
Yeah, yeah, and I had my weekend wrap up, and
Yeah,
I spoke about it. There was a couple of watches that I really really liked. And later in the week, Chopard came out with a Alpine Eagle Chrono, not the not the skeletonized version, but the one with this blue ice blue dot, and it's so beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. I love that watch. The DB28
Yes,
Purple Rain, I just like I'm indifferent to the DB Bethune, really. I mean, just because it's a different stratosphere than I can ever conceive of being in. But I've tried a DB28 on at Watchbox with 1916 company a year and a half ago. Oh, 2 years ago, 2 years ago this April. Um, and it fit fine. It was weird, but man, that I love Prince, and that Purple Rain dial color.
very
I was like,
cool.
wow, this is unbelievable. How about you? Anything strike your fancy?
Yes, but everything I like enough to buy is way, way,
Of
way,
course,
way,
yeah, yeah,
way
yeah, yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
my stratosphere. I
Yeah.
mean, gosh, I really, I like wacky watches, so I
Mm.
love that Cartier Santos Rewind with a backwards dial, but
Oh,
it's $38,000
yeah,
and
yeah,
limited edition of 200. I like what Cartier did in
yeah,
general, the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dual time.
Mm,
Like I said last week, I'm not a big GMT guy, so dual time. Give me the time in a regular format, for a second time zone.
yeah,
That I think is useful and cool, or even this where I can just set it to I can move the bezel and figure out what time it is in Hawaii in
yeah,
2
yeah,
seconds,
yeah,
not this 24-hour time telling
yeah,
nonsense. I can't my brain's not doesn't work that way. But yeah, everything I liked was just,
yeah, yeah,
way too expensive. It's a painful reminder that one day I just might be priced out of the watches I really want and have to wait till they go on the secondary market because there was an
yeah.
overall trend this year, and that was watch brands didn't do too much. Rolex only didn't do too much, but everything they did was outside of that one stainless steel GMT Master 2 was geared towards wealthy people who do
Mhm.
not feel it
Precious
at
metal.
all when
Yeah,
there's a downturn in the economy.
yeah,
That's what a lot of these brands
yeah,
did,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
super expensive stuff.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There was that Chanel one that was like black ceramic, and it had a retrograde minute and a jumping hour, and I thought it was just so.
Yeah.
I love those jumping hour retrograde, like it some of the Joe Gentas. I like Reservoir, which is another brand. It's a French brand.
Yep.
They do something very similar to that, like with a motor, a racing inspired, look to it. Yeah, yeah. I'm a sucker for those. Um, all right, let's go to our second video here. Urban Gentry, F the hype, how I found happiness in a six watch collection, which is a little bit deceiving because he has way more than six watches, right? So it was kind of like a head scratcher.
That's what
But
we all
really,
do.
yeah,
Look at my 3 watch collection. Never mind the other 30 watches I
yeah,
have. This
yeah,
is
yeah,
my 3 watch collection.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he gives you the impression that he's found happiness, that his collection at
Right.
six watches.
He's lying to himself and
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
else.
yeah.
Yeah.
But really, the way he constructs the video is that he breaks it down to nine reasons why this works for him, right? And so a lot of it is anecdotal. A lot of it is just like kind of like changing your mindset and whatnot. Um, Number one, exodus from the hive mind, right? So getting away from toxic groupthink. The hype. He remembers, like the hype starting back in the day when Basel World was still going on, and he would have to tune out. He would have to tune out for a couple weeks because of all the releases and the videos regarding and the recaps of Basel World. And so like he actually just recently, um, you know, um, he incorporated some trip that he made. He made a trip to Germany and whatnot, and some of these in Switzerland, and to check out some of these brands and put out some content um, uh, out there, and really pat himself on the back, saying like he's like very few
Right.
of the channels do this, at least that he thinks. You know what I mean? But whatever. I appreciate it though. I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate what he's always done. Um, and I still do. I do like TGV, although I don't watch his videos all the time. but I do like him. And he also had mentioned that going back to Boswell and like Watches and Wonders to a sense, like with all the releases for him, it doesn't even make sense to like do any kind of like content revolving around this. He thinks he should wait till, and he does this. He waits till the end of the year to give his opinion on some of the new releases. Um, and he gives out a bit of advice here. He says, seek contentment elsewhere. Okay, number two, new isn't always better, right? So most of the time, some of the old made new. Some of the new watches are based on old timepieces, right? And it doesn't necessarily make it better or not. So instead of getting all caught up on the new watch, you know take a look at some of the stuff in the previous catalog, and he pulls out the example of his Panerai, his late 90s early 2000s Panerai Luminor. Now, compared to the new Panerai Luminor, I mean, you have less water resistance in the new one, right? And yes, you have
Hmm.
a new in-house movement, but the older ones, have the old DTAs, and they're easily serviceable, right? You're not going to incur a lot of those servicing costs, right? And so he also breaks out the So Chrono from the 90s that he just recently picked up, which is inspired by a 30s Tissot Chrono that happened to be developed in collaboration with Omega. So there's a great little history here
Yeah.
about that watch, and so new isn't always necessarily better. Um, three, never caring what others think, right? And so always seek validation internally. He gets very philosophical here, not externally. It's fundamental for mental health, right? um, Number four, try something different, right? And this is where he brings in his Seiko Willard, a watch that he really was never really interested in, but because he's a big fan of Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah.
And so that watch is nicknamed after one of the characters in that movie, and he figured he resisted reviewing the new ones, but he got one in from a dealer friend or a friend to look at and review, and it was something out of his comfort zone, and he ended up loving the watch, right? And I'm sorry, this is where he says, like, he refused to do reviews of the newer ones because he just likes that old one, and he doesn't want to have it cloud, like, his thinking on it. Five, adding a priceless personal touch, right? And what did I have there? I didn't really have much on. Just adding a priceless personal touch. I think it's just because whatever kind of sentimental value some of these
Right.
watches, like, developing a sentimental value with a watch is just as important in keeping and having and happiness in the collection. Six, fools rush um, in and hidden costs, right? So here is like your typical advice that you get: do not fall and do not get swept away by the newest and latest. Um, Hold out, save up, because when you save up and you get that um, grail that you got, it will feel sweeter when you finally get it, right? And you might end up buying a watch on impulse, and then unwittingly, there's a risk that you can um, get knocked up with like some hidden fees, or hidden maintenance costs. Just stuff can go wrong that you weren't anticipating per se, and then now this impulse buy has become more of an albatross around your neck, right? And so he says he's lucked out with, like, Panerai and Tuner and Tissot, because they're very, very serviceable, and so he's avoided those hidden costs. um, Sometimes, number seven, sometimes the strap change is all that you need. And again, he uses the example of his Tudor Submariner, putting on a NATO, putting it on a leather strap, and sometimes that's really, really what you need, right? It's always like, when he said this, I think about that term, like that, that thought that, if you're hungry, drink a glass of water, because you might be thirsty, not
Right.
necessarily hungry, right? So that's always a good piece of advice. Eight, finding joy in the simplest things. He talks about his Mudman, right? A watch that was a rebuy, and how sometimes a watch, like an affordable piece like this, you can get a lot of joy from that. There's some Casios that I have that are 40, $50, that I did find a whole lot of
Right.
joy, right?
They don't all
Um,
have to be $10,000.
yeah, exactly, right. And finally, enjoy what you have, and here he goes a little personal and talks about, he's had in the past 4 hospital stays, 4 collapsed lungs,
Yeah.
and all he wanted to do, right, when he had the tube in his side, was that he just wanted to go for a jog. He just wanted to go outside. He just wanted to enjoy, um, life. And so, he sort of like brings that to, like, his collection, and just enjoy what you have. And so, look, there's a lot of good stuff in here, right? I mean, like a lot of stuff that we've heard before, maybe presented in a little bit different way. What did you think, Clayton? Did you take to heart, what TGV had to serve us today?
I you know, I can a lot of it resonated with me, but as
Yeah,
Joey B said, the delivery of this one, like,
sometimes.
a lot
Yeah.
of his videos I enjoyed. The delivery on this one is like, I know everything about watches. I have it
Mm,
all figured out. We all know, he says
yeah.
he's gonna retire. He said that before, and we
Yeah.
we know that's not true. Uh, we've all said we just should not make these declarative statements anymore because they always come back to bite us. And
Mhm.
for a lot of us, there's video recorded evidence of us being full of
Yeah.
shit. So,
Yeah.
but yes, a few of the things did resonate with me. Individuality is a big one that I have
Mhm.
discovered that is just more and more important in a quest for me to not sell as much and slow down, taking my time and just not buying the FOMO pieces. I still get FOMO all the time.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
even like these new Tudor releases, none of them really do anything for me, but they're nice and they're
Yeah.
available. Like, I could
Yeah.
get one if I wanted one. So that's always tempting. But that's the new monochrome BB41, like, nice watch, really
Yeah.
nice watch.
Yeah.
But I know if I were to buy that, it would be gone in 3 months.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
owned a black dial mono. I've owned the sub before. So I mean,
Yeah.
Tudor is awesome. It will sell well for them. I think it, slots into their lineup nicely,
Yeah.
but it's just not something I need to buy.
Yeah.
So, and I'm also kind of weird in my, normal life, in real life. So I like weird watches. Like, that fits my personality. And sometimes a lot of people buy the same watches a
Mhm.
lot, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that's sort of when you go outside of
Yeah.
that, people are like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing
Mhm.
that?" So it's not like they're making fun of you or anything, but questioning maybe like, "Why do you like that?"
Yeah.
When and you and I have owned nice watches that no, a lot of people would not sell. Like, we both moved on from a Submariner,
Yeah.
awesome watch. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't have a spot in my collection long term. That's okay. I still think it's the best watch I've ever owned. I said that
Yeah.
last
Oh, for
week,
sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think you kind of feel that way too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
both of us felt like doesn't really have a place, and that's cool because if we all had the same watches, why would we even do this? It'd be so boring
Yeah.
if we all like the same stuff. So I really resonate with that. Um, yeah, the impulse buying
Mm.
thing definitely resonated. That resonated with me. Yeah, I'm sure he's done. I have to go through and look at his archives, but he's never done like prediction videos for watches and wonders. Like, I kind of find that hard to believe. He seems to think he's like above all that or something, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't think he's done for watching, but I'm sure I know he probably has. I mean,
yeah,
like, who knows? We could be wrong, but yeah, yeah. He's a little bit, he's dramatic, right? But I mean, I think like in his real life, I think this is like he does like editing, he does like film stuff. I mean, like,
oh, he's so
s-
good. I mean,
yeah.
still one of the
So so
best.
so I think, like, I mean, if he does this professionally, of course he's going to try to like do that personally here on his channel. So
Yeah,
he wants to get that dramatic. He's very inspired by filmmakers and whatnot. And look,
he loves
people,
horror movies, so
y-
I
y-
love that about him. The
yeah,
posters he
a-
has on the background, like Mandy, a very
absolutely,
obscure Nicolas
yeah,
Cage movie. I love
yeah,
that movie, so that's
yeah,
really cool. I still watch him
yeah,
regularly,
yeah,
most of the videos he releases. So yeah, not meaning to throw shade at him, but
yeah,
sometimes I can see how the delivery sometimes is like a little
But new people eat that up.
right.
New people to the hobby, or just like, casually finding one of his videos, they eat that up. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And look, that's his personal style and touch, right?
And his health
Uh,
issues too, like, I guess I wasn't
mm,
aware that I knew he had some, but I did
yeah,
not know, so yeah, that's, I'm glad he seems and he's running and he seems
he's
to be
jogging, he's
healthy.
running. Yeah, yeah.
His double wristing technique, I wear a Garmin on my right all the time, but he had it,
I liked it.
2 on the 1 wrist.
Two big watches, two
Yeah.
like a Panerai and a Mudman. Inspiring. I thought it was like pretty. I was like, oh yeah, that's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So look, I mean, I mean, yeah. I go through cyclically what how I feel about him. Like, I'm really into him or not so much into him. Right now, I'm like, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
He means well. He tries to sell watches too on the down low, right? I mean, like, with the brands that he works with. I mean, we
Yeah.
know that's happening, right? But like, I think overall he's net positive with his effect, with his, like, impact
Oh, yeah.
to the watch collecting community on YouTube. So
Just like
no,
Hodinkee, a lot of us started with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
Um, J Thor thinking that, hey, he's just creating content. He's not living what he's creating. Um, James is saying, I believe the plastic geometric shapes he was showing years ago were responsible for his success. Eric Mack is saying the videos where he delves into the history of brands or which models are the ones I like to. That good point. I mean, like,
He's the
he,
best at that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he's very, very good. The hand heart one, even though he was like, he had his own hand heart collaboration with them, but that was very, very good. I enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah, no, good point, Eric. I mean, he is good with that. He is very, very good with that. Um,
And he uses a lot of, I would think, like, licensed content, so the monetization can't be great on those videos because he does use a lot of, like, old retro commercials and movie
yeah.
clips. Even in this one, there was maybe that's falls under the fair use thing, but,
Well, yeah. I mean, like, there's like, there's. I mean, if you have like I don't know if this is what he does, but if you have a subscription to Adobe Cloud and you have access to some of their,
okay,
like, images and movie clips, you can get a license up to, like, you use like 20 free images or video clips a month, right? Or
okay,
music. So as long as you when you upload to YouTube, you may be asked for your key, your product, whatever,
oh,
your
yeah, product
license,
key or whatever it is,
product
license,
license.
yeah, yep,
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, I do that. So, like, every kind of like background music that you hear, or the intros to my videos, I have the license for that through
okay,
Adobe. So, but to your point, I mean, like, he probably doesn't make that much on the videos anyway. It's the other things, like, it's the merch that he sells, it's
yeah.
the collaborations. That's where you make the money on this. You don't make it on the videos
Does he
unless
have
you're
a Discord or Patreon?
I think he used to. I mean, he may now still. I don't know, but I think he used to. I think Random Rob used to, like, be part of, like,
Yeah, there
years
was
ago,
something there, there was
and there was a
drama there,
falling
I
out
remember,
with that.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So
Well, he has
I
his
don't know if he's.
Facebook group still, which is huge, the
Yeah,
Urban Gentry, Urban whatever it's called.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I would imagine he. I mean, I would imagine he has some sort of, like, community group or something like that, like the likes of, like, Bruce Williams and Random Robs and some of the other guys have, right? But I'm not in it. I don't know. I have my other watch friends. That's all I
Right,
need, right?
right.
Yeah. I have the Bobby Legs community group. Plug
Yes.
for Bobby Legs community group. Anyway, so yeah, man. Hey, listen, we made it. I was late, I know, but but we made it this week, man.
Yeah,
That's
we
that's,
did.
that's
Yeah,
all that
we,
matters, man.
persevered through races and children and
Yeah,
driving to buy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Hey, so Clayton, we're gonna be on Friday this week. We're not
Yes,
gonna. Yeah.
we have plans
Hmm.
next Sunday night that I cannot get out of, unfortunately or fortunately, but, yeah,
Yeah.
Friday night, so we'll do a Friday night soup.
Yeah, so everyone, mark your calendar. We'll send out a whatever notification that this Friday, instead of Sunday, we'll have another episode of Watch Soup. Clayton, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank
As
you.
always,
Yeah.
hey, congrats to our boy Sanjay. He
Yes.
just had a baby boy.
Yeah. Little
Um, s-
Micah.
yeah,
Yep.
so congratulate him, and
Congratulations,
hope
Sanjay. I don't know
and
how
hopefully,
you do it.
I don't know how he
New
does it either,
parent.
right?
I'm
But hope
exhausted and I have no kids.
I
Just taking care of myself is enough.
and the dogs, right? You got dogs,
Yeah.
so they like kids.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so if you guys, send him a little message on Instagram or whatever, and hopefully he gets back to doing some videos soon. I know he's very, very busy, especially with
He
his new
hasn't been
job.
active on Instagram in 2 months. I
Yeah,
posted my first one in a long time today, and I was like, oh, I wonder if Sanjay's posted anything. Nope, like
nah.
February was the last time. So yeah, he's got a new job. He's got
Hmm.
a new baby.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's bought any new watches. I don't think so.
Well,
I don't know.
that's it. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know,
Yeah.
and I that's why we can't wait to get him back on so we can do a little catch up session. Anyway, chat. Have a great start of your week. See you guys on Tuesday for another Tuesday Night Watch Talk on the Bobby Legs channel. And again, don't remember this Friday, we'll be doing a Watch Soup instead of our usual Sunday time. Have a great week, guys. Take care.
Yep. See you on Friday. Thank you.